Keep playing.
Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Weekly. Here are your hosts, Brett, Haas,
All right,
Mac, and Jack. How
Oh,
we feeling,
live.
fellas?
Okay. People will wait anyways for people to start trickling in, but since it's recorded. All right, welcome back to Eagles Weekly, episode 5. I'm one of your hosts, Brett Ryder of Eagles Daily, joined today by international marketing guru Mac Hutchinson of BC Football Fans. We got our ACC athlete, Jack Cyberlick of Eagles Daily as well. And we got the hype man himself, Andrew Haas. Boys, loaded question, but how we doing?
Awesome, Brett. Awesome.
1-0, undefeated. Bill O'Brien.
I had it all the way. I called that game all the way.
You sure did.
Yep.
The other way, but that's okay. It's been it's been a roller coaster of a weekend, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the beginning of Labor Day weekend is something that, you never want to hear. We obviously had not one but two tragic losses, to the BC community. We lost the Gaudreau brothers, and I think on top of just losing them, the fashion in which they were lost was just tragic in itself. Something so completely avoidable. But when you really kind of break it down and you look at just losing two young men way too soon, way too quickly, brothers, sons, friends, and most importantly, husbands and fathers. So for that, it's a very heartbreaking thing, and I think you kind of saw the ripple effect throughout the Boston College community. The way people kind of came together, it definitely was a beautiful thing. And I think for us personally, it was a tough, a tough thing to see, especially because the rest of the country sees an NHL superstar in his brother, right? What we see is something so different. We see one of our own. We see a guy who, Johnny Hockey, right? Like he was our Superman, continued to be our Superman as an NHL professional. So it was just a totally different dynamic, for my own personal experience, I, was at BC while both of them were there. Actually had the pleasure of being in a couple classes with Matthew. So, it's a very, very trying time. It really, really puts into perspective, what's important, what's not. Really just shows you just how fragile life is, right? Like, life's beautiful, life can be great, but at the same time, it can be taken away just like that. You never know. And I think that in itself, it's just such a tragic situation. From all of us, I know that, we extend our hands and our sympathies to the Gaudreaus and everyone that was affected by it. And I think to take it a step further, anyone within the BC community or just anyone in general who's struggling, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. It's a very sad situation, and it just we'll always kind of keep them in our hearts, and that's kind of all I wanted to say about that.
Well said, Brett. Thanks so much, man. I mean, again, shout out to this incredible community. Just hitting on the same notes of just what Brett just said, and where we're all here, and life is short. Hug the ones you love, and just love all around for everyone.
Absolutely. And then it kind of brings us into, the segue of, really getting into, the season opener. And, it definitely meant a lot more. And I think that being able to get a win in such a fashion. It's not a healing thing. It's not a quick fix, but it was definitely a nice moment, I think, for the BC community overall. So to, kind of transition into that, there was predictions that were made last week. Two out of the three of us did pick a BC victory, which I'm absolutely a fraud, and I'm hand up. I'm the biggest fraud of them all, because on the website, I did take my bias off and I did pick them to lose as well. So here I am about to scold Jack publicly, but I'm a fraud. I took both sides and I was half right, so I was fully wrong. But Jack, this is your moment, and you can slander me as much as you want.
Thank you, Brett. I'll hold this slander for now. But yeah, I just wanted to take accountability for my predictions, because I predicted BC to lose 31-21. I predicted that they would stay close for 3 quarters and then kind of just lose it in the 4th. I predicted that Florida State was going to bounce back in their home stadium out after a tough loss in Ireland, in Dublin. And I predicted that the Eagles would struggle in their first game under Bill O'Brien, and I was proven pretty wrong on all counts there. I mean, they went up. What was the stat? 14 minutes of possession in the first quarter alone. They just.
I can look it up. Yeah, it was
that game, and man, all the euphemisms. I got egg on my face. I'm eating my words. Totally proven wrong. I couldn't be happier about it. And I'm so glad all the people that predicted that got it right. Brett, Mac, Coach Will Blackman in my mentions on Instagram. Shout out to all you guys for getting it right. So, man, it completely changed my outlook on the season. It's really awesome, really unbelievable.
The Will Blackman beef is something interesting too. One second, Mac.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I still want to give Jack his moment here. The Will Blackman beef, though.
Let's not call it beef. I have no beef with Will Blackman. I don't want any beef with Will Blackman.
You don't want any beef with Will Blackman.
You don't want that.
It's a good virtual friendship you've got. Yeah.
No, it's just some playful banter between two guys that love BC, and that's all it is, playful banter. I predicted 6-6 a few months ago, and he fired back at me. To be fair, I was quote tweeting him. It might have come off as kind of making fun of him, so I do understand that. But yeah, couldn't be happier to be dunked on by Will Blackman especially after a win like that. So
we're gonna give Jack a chance to redeem himself, because I think we all, after last night, I think we all should relook at our predictions for the season, because I think that victory last night changes everything, boys. It's I haven't seen that dominance, BC dominate in a game like that since. We were talking earlier off air, since Matty Ice, to be honest, back in 2007. So huge performance, incredible. I mean, let's open it up to just talk about last night. And Brett, I mean, I know you said that you didn't predict it, but what's funny, on Twitter when I tweeted your score prediction and I actually messed up, if BC had not kneeled it down, which was a total mercy kneeling at the end of that game, 3 kneels, you would have been right on the nail. It would have been 35-13, which is pretty much what you predicted. And we're all laughing at you. But at the end of the day, I mean, Bill O'Brien's undefeated. First victory as a Boston College Eagle, top 10 victory. Everything's buzzing. Everything's incredible right now. The community is growing by the second, and everyone's energized. And I'm just, it's amazing, guys. It's amazing.
Yeah, Mac, you talk about the mercy killing at the end where they just took the knee. The first possession of the game, if Trayshawn Ward doesn't drop that pass, We're looking at 3 points or maybe 7 points in that first possession. So
I
it could have been worse.
It was not a
But,
close game, guys. It
It
wasn't
could
a
have
close
been worse.
game.
Yeah.
No.
That was technically, you could say that was a blowout. I mean, they literally would have scored, went up, 35-13. Florida State only had 1 touchdown in the game. They didn't even touch the ball.
Got dominated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, take it away, Haas. It's insane.
Well, I was just going to say before, I'm all for people readjusting their predictions and things like that, but just to hold the group accountable, there will be asterisks moving forward. This isn't going to be a weekly change what I think the record's going to be, for the record. I just want to call that out and bring the group back down to earth. But I'm all for you guys redoing the predictions. That sounds great. But yeah, it was total domination last night. I think Jack just called out the play, right, where Trayshawn Ward in the first possession dropped the ball that could have been maybe 6 on that play, but could have been could have been points.
All right.
Like at least the
BC,
red zone.
I'd be silly to say like the BC fan in my head said, "Oh, here we go again." Like now FSU is going to march it down the field. Something's going to happen, right? Like some of those flashbacks started going through my mind, and I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But
yes,
I think the theme of the night was resiliency from BC and having like a short-term memory. Right? They go down, pass gets dropped. He's pretty bummed out on himself. Defense comes on, forces a 3 and out, and the next thing you know, it's a touchdown pass or it's a 7 points coming back down. They march right back down the field. So I think for me, it was short-term memory. It was the resiliency of the team. It's a totally different feel and culture, obviously, is what my general takeaway was after seeing it in action. So that's kind of just my initial takeaway from the game.
Yeah. I was so sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I agree. I was so impressed with how they responded, specifically after that first punt. They, like you said, that you get 2 straight 3 and outs, 14 points, just like that. And then you let up Florida State. They held them to field goals, but they got 2 straight scores to cut it to 14-6. And I think Florida State got the ball to start the second half. And just to respond with the stop and score, or the interception and score, and just respond that way, get the lead back up to 2 scores. It was so impressive. The kind of resolve we haven't seen in a BC football team at least since I've been here. So it was great to see.
Well, it kind of comes for me at the end of the half, and granted, I mean DJU, he absolutely just completely airmailed a short touchdown right before the end of the first half.
Yeah,
it was, and it's funny with that because I've never watched the game, especially amongst people, where virtually every incompletion is just met with like just utter laughter. Where like every time this poor kid too, like every time he's throwing the ball, and he's airmailing it or underthrowing it, whatever he was doing, it was always met with like just general laughter in the room, right? The other thing though is like when he airmails that touchdown, or what would have been a touchdown, he airmailed the incompletion, but such a gift too, right? Because they score that touchdown. Next thing you know, we're looking at 14-10. Then they get the ball back. So I'm with Haas on that because in my mind, I'm looking at it like with my, I guess you could call it BC PTSD, and I was like, yeah, well, they're about to be down very quickly, in the matter of they're scoring here, they're going to come out in the second half, and yeah, we just kind of blew that. So to really see them like get an interception to begin the second, well, first of all, to rewind, to get that stop, thanks to DJ to a field goal, then get the interception to start the second half, score a touchdown, to really flip the score from it being potentially 17-14 and you're down, all of a sudden it's 21-6 and now you're really controlling the game. There were a couple instances in that third quarter where I really didn't feel like the game was intact. I really was kind of waiting for Florida State to wake up. Thank God. I think the tight end was number 84 for them. He had a couple real bad drops. Once again, they were doing their best not to capitalize, but I was in the back of my mind really waiting for them to wake up. Luckily for us, they just didn't.
I think we have such. everything we talk about on this podcast, I feel like we have such PTSD from the last decade of BC football fandom, where you had coaches that just didn't get it done. And so I feel like throughout the game last night, same thing, Brett. I was like, oh man, only one score, only two scores. If they score here, we're only down, But it's like at the end of the day, if you look at that objectively, I mean, BC dominated that game throughout the game. There really wasn't ever, in the balance, to be honest. And we literally talked to Bill after the game, Brett, and we asked him about the physicality. I mean, they dominated on both lines. They were able to tackle. I mean, you had Florida State coming to this game, already had a game under their belt, and they're the ones looking like they didn't know how to tackle or anything. So it's like this physicality, this preparedness that we've talked about all spring practice, all summer practice, and then into the last weeks of practice, where how physical they were, tackling and all this. I mean, Bill Bryan prepared them perfectly for this matchup, and you saw it throughout the whole game.
What's one for all of you guys? What's like one big difference that you notice, like in gameplay? Whatever the case is. I have my answer, but I'm kind of curious to what kind of stuck out to you, maybe the most as a difference
from previous.
Just like
from
something that really kind of you're like, oh, that's improved or that's different. What's something that for each of you watching the game last night, it's like, oh, I don't remember seeing something like that before.
But yeah, we can pick something.
Yeah.
One thing I was watching it with some of my roommates in Southie, and one thing like my buddy said to me like right away is like, man, like they're like he's talking about the physicality, like how they really limited the yards after contact. Like I feel like there are so many times where on like a third down the ball carrier catches it short at the sticks or something. I feel on first contact, I feel like our defense did a great job of limiting yards after contact, and I just thought like they really brought the physicality to Florida State. They didn't wait for it to come to them, and yeah, I was just super impressed by how they welcomed the physicality in that game, that's how they really kind of, I feel like, took the game in their hands.
Yeah, I would agree, Jack. I would say the biggest thing for me, Brett, is the execution. So just executing on every level. I mean, just look at the first quarter. I mean, FSU went, I think, 0 for 4, 0 for 5. Like they were 3 and out because they couldn't execute. Basically, BC on every third down was executing. I mean, I think there were probably 4 for 5 at one point in that.
There were 5 of the first 6.
Yeah, 5 of the first 6.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah. Unreal execution. So that's something that we're not familiar with. Just Bill O'Brien getting them to understand the situations and knowing exactly where to be and where to go. I mean, the only one at the beginning of the game that we didn't execute on was that wide open wheel route that we just talked about that Ward dropped. So it's like everything that we're seeing from an execution standpoint was almost perfect, and that's something that, I mean, that's you win football games executing.
Yeah. And that's a great segue to.
Go ahead. Sorry, Haas.
I was just going to say that was a great segue to what I was going to say, Mac, in terms of what I took away from the game or something that we maybe haven't seen in a while. I think discipline, right? Like execution, discipline, they kind of go hand in hand. To have one penalty in your first game of the season, and it's not false start penalties, it's not offside penalties, right? It was a 15-yarder. It was, but one penalty in your first game, I think tells the whole tale as to how disciplined a team can be and what your aptitude for it is and the coaching style that they are receiving. So I think that's for me was a huge takeaway.
I think the biggest thing for me was the secondary tackling and just how sound they were as a unit. The only real missed tackle or kind of, little mess up was on the touchdown. But granted, the FSU receiver must have had an entire foot on that kid. So
Brad,
I mean,
can I just
one blemish?
Can I just ask you? So basically, what you're saying is Tim Lewis is better than Halfley, secondary coach.
Yeah. I
There
don't.
you go.
Okay, so
There you
like
go.
we can discuss this because I
St.
have
Louis' defense last night.
I have zero. Haas corrected me episode 1, and I've come correct since. Like I have not.
You
I
have. I
don't
got to
think
give you
I've like
props. You have.
yeah like
Oh,
I
for
don't
sure.
think I've stood on any sort of Tim Lewis like slander since. I want to make for the listeners out there. I just want everyone to know, like I am a fan. I'm on board. I'm a supporter. I'm not. No, you're yes. So yes, to answer your question, yes, absolutely.
He had
I
them ready.
mean, not only
Man,
did he
they were.
have him
I
ready.
was. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No.
I cut you off.
I was just going to say, it's enough of the pleasantries, Brett. Okay. All I was going to say was, I think I texted the group chat while we're watching the game, and I do appreciate texting while watching. I think that's awesome. It lets me get my emotions out, so I'm not taking it out on my family and friends. But the defense was flying around. There was a couple tackles, like you said, from the secondary coming up to the line of scrimmage and making plays. And man, the linebacker core, like it was unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah,
Especially the edge, the two edge, Ezeraku and Okpala. Like
guys,
They had awesome games.
the pressure that they were getting on the quarterback was like I have not seen that. Like we did not see that last year.
The front seven was absolutely incredible, and then Donovan Azaraku. 2 sacks on the night, and guys, he should have had 3 sacks. Remember that one play he took DJ basically down, and DJ got a penalty for
Grounding.
For grounding. He basically had, in my book, 3 sacks on the night. He was constantly on DJ and getting everywhere he wanted. The whole front seven was incredible. The whole defense was executing, was tackling. Again, back to the physicality. They just were tackling so well. The only time there was ever a break tackle was on that one that Max Tucker got off, but then Max Tucker totally redeemed himself with the interception. But literally, I think that was the only time they missed tackle. This defense was so physical and so dominant. It was a sight. It was a sight to see for us.
Yeah, I remember when I was the first possession of the Georgia Tech game. I texted in our group chat when Florida State marches down the field like in 6 plays. I said, "Oh, like shit! They might average 15 yards a carry on us. Like, I don't want to see. I don't want to see this offense on Monday night on national television." But I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think they averaged like 1.4 yards a carry or something. And
they had 21. They had 21 rush yards. Period.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, great. Like. BC is supposed to be on the other side of that. Like, like 2022 BC, it puts up those kind of numbers in terms of rushing. So yeah, the physicality in the box, that front seven was just like Haas said, flying around. It was something to watch. So Tim Lewis just had those guys clicking on all cylinders. So he had a good game plan going into it.
I think the one thing that just grinds my gears after this game a little bit is the rhetoric is, it was all FSU. They stink. They're going to have an awful season now. Like they're 0-2. And I didn't hear much credit to BC. And that's not coming from a homer here and somebody that works for the university, whatever. The rhetoric has been FSU. They stink. BC, like to your point, executed the game plan to a T last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it's like, yeah, we're not ranked right now. I think that'd be an overreaction to rank BC. I will say that out loud.
I'd rather they didn't.
Correct. I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah. But
to not give a ton of credit, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, on your point, Haas, it's incredible. Like the whole national media, everyone's just talking about FSU. But like what Jack just said, we ran 263 yards on their defense. They only ran 21. And somehow we're talking about the team that only was able to get 21 yards for an entire game. BC completely dominated. They came in with their game plan. They basically took partly, to run it just like Georgia Tech did, and were able to do everything they wanted to do. I think they ran that hatch play to the outside to the receiver to the running back. like 4 or 5 times in that game, and they couldn't stop it. So it's just, I mean, the whole national media, to get back to Haas's point. I mean, Sports Center, all the morning shows, all the take shows are all just talking about how, Florida State season's over and how they're out of the playoffs. But you know what? Boston College's season and really their level in this conference and maybe on the national stage just started. And I don't think we heard Bill O'Brien's name at all this morning. It was all about FSU and the way he was able to come in late in the offseason and get this team this prepared from what we saw last year, this good at this level on game 1, week 1. I mean, incredibly impressive. Everyone should be praising him, all over this country.
It's funny too because Jack posed the question, FSU sucking and losing, or BC being better and winning. It could be both. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe FSU does suck,
right.
Based off what we did see, like they weren't very good, but a good team is going to bury a sucky team, as we've been on the other side of that in the past. BC dominated them. So it's kind of like, yeah, maybe FSU does suck and probably do. But I think the fact that BC, wasn't like they like squeaked it out or something or had some like, close win or, whatever the case, then maybe you can have that conversation of like, yeah, FSU sucks and maybe BC is not that much better than them. But the way they dominated them last night in all facets of the game and the way that they were like kind of looking, when you look at all the intangibles, I think that, so to answer the question, I think it's BC being better and winning BC, for me, ultimately.
And by the way, Georgia Tech is the one that squeaked by. Georgia Tech barely beat them on a neutral field. BC dominated the entire game against Florida State in their home, on the road. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, we're talking about
we've all been chopping all week. I mean, we're unfazed.
Stop the chop. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a complete dominating performance on the national stage, on the road, first game, Bill O'Brien. I mean, it's just so many things that, with a lens that we can talk about this in a positive way. But at the end of the day, I mean, I agree. Whether FSU sucks or not, BC, whether that was a good team, a bad team, whatever, looked incredibly dominant and were executing at every level. And that's the biggest takeaway for me.
And on the road, like you said, on the road, 90-degree humidity, all that sort of thing. Shout out to the athletic trainers and the hydration staff. I mean, There were seriously some cramps and things going on during that game. But to get guys cycling back in, I think that was massive in a storyline that really, I think ESPN was trying to focus on, to say that BC was starting to get tired and things like that, like a couple times. But certainly something to call out and shout out the training staff for.
This is why you make the big bucks, Haas, because you think of shit like that I wouldn't even cross my mind. That's a very good point.
You guys see when Trayshawn Ward went down, his like they zoomed in on his leg twitching like that. Mm-hmm. That freaked me out. I didn't know what was going on because I didn't have audio where I was watching it, so I didn't know the cramping thing was really a storyline until way after. So but like you said, Haas, like for the training staff to get Ward like hydrated on the sideline, get him back in the game. Yeah, total kudos to those guys. And we got the privilege of seeing Turbo Richards' first snap as an Eagle, where he ripped off a clean 15 yards. So we got to see
turbo time.
Yeah. Flash from the future, some turbo time. So
yeah, turbo time was a great sighting. And then, but on the note of the training staff, and we talked so much on this podcast about Craig Fitzgerald. I mean, whether it was that game and hydration and everything they were doing to keep those players under that really hot Florida heat was a great performance. But getting them, again, prepared this whole spring, this whole summer, getting them the workouts, so prepared where they're this physical and this fit to go into a road game and for 60 minutes to be doing that in that hot humidity. I mean, it looks like a completely different team based on, I mean, it's amazing how much really good, maybe one of the best in all of college football trainer can do to your football team.
How many?
You talked about how hard of a camp it was, right? You talked about how hard of a camp it was. That was again like everything has added up and culminated to last night's game, and hopefully we see consistency coming out of that too.
Yeah.
How many shirts did Bill O'Brien go through last night, you think?
He definitely went through that
Did
one.
you see
I don't know if he's going to wear that shirt again.
It was moist.
Did you see the SVP?
Yeah.
You see SVP give him a hard time in that interview post game?
Yeah. I'm just like, Bill O'Brien's such a fucking football guy. Like he's just couldn't care less.
He kind of had that like Belichick swag of like, this is what I'm wearing, and I'm all football. Yep. I mean, the whole vibe in the press conference last night, Brett, was like, he didn't even look that happy. I mean, he was smiling when we were congratulating, but at the end of the
he cracked a smile at me, which I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I saw that. But basically, he was all businessman. Bill O'Brien, the businessman. He was like, we're on to the next. We're on to Duquesne. We're like, we got to keep this up because this is what we're building. It doesn't matter. I mean, his brain literally like was, I mean, it's already been trained for this for the last 20 years, but he's like, he's literally already thinking, okay, Duquesne, short week. When are we getting these guys back? By the way, they were in Tallahassee last night because of some travel issues. So they have an even shorter week with Labor Day and that. So they basically have, 2-3 days of practice before they're padding up on Saturday.
He talked about it yesterday too. Basically, like their mentality is they have 12 one-game seasons and they just want to stack up 1-0s. That's it. Just a week-to-week basis. He's like, yeah, it's great. It's great that I got, my first win here. It's great that, we beat Florida State. It's a big win. He's like, but at the end of the day, it's one win. That's kind of the mentality. And I think that's just how they're kind of looking at it now, I
love how he says, though, that the largest victory on the road against a top 10 opponent ever in BC history. And he's like, it's just a win. I'm on to Duquesne. I mean, that's just that type of mentality has been missing forever, if ever. I mean, that's it. That's everything.
I know. I do remember bringing it up, I think, on the first pod when how I think someone brought it up. There's just kind of a Bill O'Brien kind of brings like a different air, different like level of expectations into the program. Like the players feel it, like everyone around them kind of feels it. So to see him just like go in there, take care of business, and just not be so even keel, like not really going too far up or down. Just it's very very refreshing to see that kind of business like approach from the head coach.
Absolutely.
Can't get too high, can't get too low.
It's a long season, right, Haas? It's a long year.
Listen, and I think, Bill called it out, right? We're talking just about post game what Bill's talking about. He talked about how this could be a letdown spot on Saturday, right? Like in previous, like after such a win of such magnitude, he's like, 24 hours to let them celebrate. They got the mandatory off day. And then it's like, we got to get we got to get locked in. And, that's a spot where you're coming home. Everybody's going to think you're just going to blow out Duquesne. And we could talk about that, right? But will they be ready, and can they again come out here and take care of business, quite honestly?
And can I just say this, that mentality has clearly flowed over into the team. I mean, literally the ACC huddle was talking to Tommy Castellanos last night, and how he literally was like, they kept asking about football, and he's like, I have class tomorrow. I go to Boston College, I have class tomorrow. I mean,
great answer.
I mean,
for the brand.
It's incredible, obviously, for the BC brand, but also
we're never beating the allegations.
Bill O'Brien, though, has got these players to just focus on what is my business, what are my responsibilities, what do I owe to my other teammates, and they're just totally focused on winning. And that says it all, I think.
To talk about Tommy for a second, he talked, I think SVP asked him about like Tommy's development. He's like, reminds him of Kyler Murray and blah, 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 blah. And Bill was like, he's come a long way in his development, and we're happy to have him on our team. He's got a long way to go, though, too. Like, he could certainly improve on a lot of things, which, again, is probably different for Tommy to hear in a national media interview, after a primetime game like that. But at the same time, it's so true, right? Like, how do you argue with that? You don't.
No.
Yeah.
And I think it's great too, especially he's your star, he's the engine that makes the team go, but to really keep that fire under him, like, yeah, great job, but you got some shit you gotta work on. It's like, yeah, we're gonna watch this film and I'm gonna point out everything you did wrong tonight, so
yeah,
sit down.
No, I mean, this is a guy that's coached
Tom Brady,
Tom Brady, and Bryce Young. So he's seen his share of quarterbacks, and yeah, I mean, I think we saw a more poised Thomas Castellanos. I think I liked some of the patience he showed in the pocket more, and he picked his spots, I thought, really well, when to break one loose. But I do think there were some, he didn't like have to have like a game breaking performance for BC to win. Like he played I'd say a B plus game, I think. But I think there's some like certain tendencies that I'm sure Bill wants him to break, like being calm in the pocket. I think you kind of see there's some moments where he would drop back and you could see he's kind of like itching to run, but he's kind of fighting himself there. So I think as the season goes on, as they play more and more, they'll play Duquesne, Mizzou, Michigan State. I think we'll see him continue to get more and more comfortable within Bill O'Brien's system. So.
There was one play specifically too where he almost threw the pick, and thank God for Lewis Bond, because he did have like that slight hesitation to where he had Lewis Bond open across the middle, and then didn't have him, and he threw it a little late, and it was like in and out of the FSU defender's hand. But that just comes with time. That just comes with getting the reps in, and kind of as the season progresses and really kind of growing into it. Like Jack was saying, it's a new offense. It's new reads. I kind of forget that this isn't like a plug and play where, Tommy's back and it's the same. It's a completely different offense. It's completely different reads, different plays. His receivers are all different too. The only receiver he has is Lewis Bond and Jeremiah Franklin, which another note, Jeremiah Franklin had an absolute kick-ass game last night. Jeremiah Franklin was phenomenal in the run game.
The tight ends were great
as a blocker.
The tight ends were incredible, blocking, catching, but more importantly, like we're just talking about Tommy in the pocket. The pass protection of this O-line, of this front, was incredible. So when we're talking about giving time for Tommy to develop, I mean, he's going to be able to throw. BC's going to be able to throw this year based on what we just saw against Florida State, because that pass protection was incredible. There was times where he had all day. It just maybe the guy wasn't open and then he would run out. I mean, he's got all the options with this offensive line. They give him all the options. Run right through, run around, throw it, throw a slant, throw it over. I mean, again, pass protection and the O-line and the tight ends, great performance, just dominant.
So you talk about ability to pass, right? We look at the breakdown of plays, though, versus pass versus the run. I think it's a great opportunity to call this out and talk about this.
Yeah.
I guess, what are the initial thoughts on the play calling from a run-pass perspective? Do you think that that's the long-term plan? Do you think that that was just the game plan for Florida State? I guess, tell me a little bit what you think about that.
I'll let one of you go first. That's a really good question.
I definitely think it was the game plan, Haas. I think they came in with a game plan knowing that they're going to, definitely favor and be more aggressive on the ground, and they executed it. And I mean, Bill O'Brien, I think, is under the Bill Belichick philosophy too. Like, we have a game plan, but we're always down to adjust. And I think his game plan was run it down their throats and let's see if that works. And it worked. So there was no deviation from that game plan. So it seemed to me that, hey, we're running both backs, we're running around them, and they're not even responding to our little out passes or our backs catching the ball. So it's like, we're going to keep going down this route. There's no point to going down the field. If anything, that becomes a liability, especially with Tommy Castellanos still figuring out the offense and, to eliminate the potential for turnovers. That he's like, if we don't have to throw it down the field, why are we doing it? Let's just, and the second you get a lead too, pound. So I think that was the game plan. And then as things started to go BC's way, it was obvious they weren't going to deviate from that.
Yeah, I'd agree with Mac there. I think the Florida State defense definitely showed some vulnerability in the opener against Georgia Tech. So I think Bill's probably like, let's just control possession, get, be physical up front. That D line let up a lot of yards per carry in that first game. So I think especially once it worked for 2 possessions, I guess like why would you change your game plan? But it is like something to think about, I think, because I mean, what Tommy had 106 yards through the air, which is solid on 10 for 16. But yeah, I mean, I think in the second half, I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm pretty sure he only had maybe 10 or 15 passing yards or something. So I think that's something to monitor going forward, especially against maybe like a more a better front seven going forward that we might see against like Missouri, for example, or something. I don't know what they look like, but I'm sure they can't be worse than Florida State. But yeah, I definitely agree with Mac as the game plan, but it's certainly something to monitor going forward, and maybe something they'll use the Duquesne game to kind of play around with and work on. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
What do you think, Haas?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're going to be a totally one-dimensional offense through the run game. I do think that there will be a mix of things to come. I do think it was game plan oriented, as we've alluded to. And yeah, I think I'm just curious to see, and maybe it was like easing in for Tommy as well, right? Easing into seeing the reads and everything like that, and more, options to run for him, along those lines. So yeah, I'm excited to see where the offense continues to develop, right? It's not a finished product by any means. I think that's very clear. But it was a nice stepping stone last night to see them take it to execute at a really high level.
And I think just the fact of how dominant the offensive line was just really reassuring. Because for me, that was something that I was a little, I wouldn't even say weary on. I was a little interested on how well the offensive line was going to play this year, specifically after how dominant they were at times last year. Wasn't really sure if they were going to be able to keep that up with, some new pieces, and they got some people out, Logan Taylor specifically. So the fact that they were able to rack up over 200 yards on the ground, very impressive, to the point where like they really didn't need to put the ball into Tommy's hands to throw a ton. And the throws that he made, really those checkdowns that he was making, especially like it was very running back heavy, specifically Trayshawn Ward, even the touchdown to Robichaux. It was just incredible. Just kind of seeing that progression from Tommy in the way of like, I think last year he almost tried to force the ball down the field a lot more than he probably needed to, where yesterday you kind of saw the maturation of him being able to kind of check the ball down and kind of go to his running backs, go across the middle a little bit more. I mean, besides Trayshawn Ward, I think the next guy receiving wise was like 14 or something. Yeah, it was 14 from Jeremiah Franklin. So a bunch of people had, a catch, and Jaden McGowan, it says here he had 2 catches for 0 yards. So, I mean, but that's going to be a one-off. He is going to get a lot of touches, and he's going to get a lot of opportunity. But with that said, yes, I agree with all your guys' points that, I think it was very game plan oriented. I think that they knew, running the ball against Florida State is your best chance to be able to win. And then to take it a step further, that's also your strength. When you have 2 kick-ass running backs like that, why not? Why not just utilize them until it doesn't work? And I think that there was one drive, it was a 3 and out, I believe it was in the third quarter, where they passed on second down and then passed again on third down. And they were at like their own 45 yard line. So the 3rd and 9, and then they had to go, they had to pass it, and it was incomplete. But it's like, man, it just don't do that. Run the ball. And then the very next drive, they got back to running the ball again. So they're playing to their strengths. But, like you were saying, Haas, there is going to be a pass element to this offense too. This is not going to be a Steve Vidazio offense of just, we're going to give AJ Dillon the ball, 30 times a game and, hope we can win that way. So from that perspective, I absolutely agree. Now for the game overall, for wins, we'll do game balls. I like that idea. Players of the game. Now are we kind of choosing? Are we voting and picking one, or are we all kind of just like nominating someone on both sides of the ball? How do you envision that, Jack?
I think everyone just picks one position group they want to shout out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to go first?
Yeah. I didn't realize we're doing this right now. I think that the obvious one has got to be Trishawn Ward. I'll take him with my first pick, I guess. I mean, he had 77 yards on the ground, 61 through the air. He had that sick wheel route. He almost had he could have had that other one in the first quarter. Just to come back to a team that he played on for 3 seasons. I didn't even know that coming into this week. Yeah. But I was
4 seasons, I think.
4 seasons? Damn.
I think it was 4 seasons, yeah.
But yeah, I was super impressed with Trishawn Ward. I mean, 130 yards through the air on the ground. Showed a lot of versatility, which we talked about in some of our previews. How he's like a threat on the ground and in the air. So I think he's got to be my game ball for sure.
Mac or Haas?
I think I gotta get. So I already talked about Donovan and how incredibly dominant he was on the defensive line. So I think I have to go with Carter Davis, guys. I mean, Carter Davis led the team in tackles, 9 tackles, 6 solo tackles as a freshman, guys. Carter Davis is their leading tackler on this defense. I mean, you probably don't know the name. People listening to this podcast probably don't know his name, but Carter Davis.
You buying stock now? Buying stock now?
Incredible. He was he was in the notes of practices all summer, but for people just paying attention now, I mean, he showed up in a big way for this defense. He was all over the ball, and again, he was the big leader on this whole physicality dominance that the defense had.
Huss?
Sticking on the defensive side of the ball, Ezraku is my game ball.
Have to, right?
Yeah.
I have to. Even though Akpala hit the gritty after picking up the personal foul, I have to give it to Easy, man. He was awesome. He was awesome.
It felt like he had more than 2 sacks. Like it felt like he was everywhere. I think Matt said that earlier, but
But it's true. It is very true.
His motor was on full display. His motor was on full display last night. Yeah.
I mean, so you got Easy. I'm taking Okpala strictly for the gritty. The gritty is game ball worthy in itself. Like that was anytime you can get a clip that's just gonna go viral, something silly, and it's not like silly where you're like embarrassed about it. Got to do it. I mean, the guy.
I wish he did it for longer. He did it for the head official though, and he had to stop like after 1. He was like, "Oh, now am I going to get a taunting penalty?" Right?
Yeah. Oh shit! I hope Bill didn't see me do that.
The way he did it so quick, the way he hit it like so quickly was so smooth too, and then he just like stopped it. It just kind of, it was just great. The whole sequence was awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, even beyond that, like he had a sack, he had a couple tackles for loss. Everything that you want to say about Donovan, Nito was on the other side doing the same thing. It was just having 2 edge rushers like that, it just, it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference in the run game. It makes such a difference in the pass game from a defensive perspective. When you're really able to dial back and get pressure on the quarterback. DJU sucks, and I've said that multiple times, and I will continue to believe that, especially after this game. But there was no time when he really looked comfortable. I mean, he had a couple nice completions, but even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? Like he's going to make at least a couple of them. He did not look comfortable at all. Balls were getting tipped at the line. He was running around. He was not able to really set himself, and on the interception that he threw, he was falling backwards.
Total duck.
Yeah, total duck. Right. That was that Max Tucker?
Max Tucker, my dad, Max Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought he was housing that too. That would have been sick.
What did he get to the 9?
Yeah, inside the 10. Inside the 10.
Yeah, inside the 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the 10.
Max
Yeah, because they
Tucker.
scored on the was it Robichaux who scored the 2 plays?
Yes, and that was
Yep.
that was a pass, right? Out of the back.
Yeah,
that was like a little wheel,
left.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
all around beautiful stuff.
Yeah, just keep talking about the defense. You know whose name we didn't say?
Who's?
Cam Arnold. I don't think he recorded a tackle in this game, and we know what Cam Arnold. This is not a knock on Cam Arnold. We know what Cam Arnold's capable of.
He didn't.
But,
I have it. Right
just
here.
to speak more. I mean, we didn't need Cam Arnold to have a superhuman game to dominate that defense. Like we know what this guy's capable of.
Yeah.
But other guys stepped up, and I don't think we'll get another game where Cam Arnold has 0 tackles, and certainly not. But
I think
just the fact that they were able to dominate on defense without pretty much probably their best linebacker recording to tackle, I think was pretty remarkable.
I got a crazy take on Cam Arnold though. I think this defense dominated it so good because Cam Arnold obviously plays the middle linebacker in the middle, mm-hmm. that Florida State wasn't even getting players near him because they weren't able to get through the defensive line to the center. Anything that they did do was either outside pass or run to the outside. I mean, he was the communicator, and I mean, he led that defense and was absolutely incredible. But yeah, it's almost like he didn't even have to tackle because they weren't even around him in the middle. They weren't even getting.
He's probably getting bored. I mean,
he's delegating like Bill O'Brien out there. It's just like, all right, you guys.
To build off that real quick before we go into a break, one other player on the defensive end or on the defensive side that the growth from last year to this year, Kyrie Johnson. Kyrie Johnson played a phenomenal nickel cornerback last night. He had a couple of real nice plays. He had a couple real sound tackles to stop first down, conversions. And on top, I think he had a breakup or 2. But, to go from really just a meme last year with his, textbook crowning to just be all over the field last night and to just play such a sound nickel. It was really amazing to see. I mean, we could go through all of these guys and, pick out something. It's very easy to do so, like after wins to, crown all of them and give them all accolades. But that was the one that just really stuck out to me other than the ones that we had mentioned. That would be like my honorable mention for, I feel like you can't discuss this game without kind of shouting him out, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And before the break, guys, I see that you have a note, Jack, you put in about the national attention and basically the BC brand that we're talking about. I mean, last night being the only college football, I mean, we talked about this all week. Jack shouted out last podcast. I mean, BC is going to be America's team, and BC was America's team. And, to awesome. FSU's demise, I mean, we got tons of attention from this. But I think, my biggest takeaway for that is going to be recruiting, guys. How positively this is going to affect recruiting. I mean, you already saw all of our commits, even last night, as all of these BC football players were also, from Matt Ryan to Doug Flutie and all of them tweeting as well. I mean, these recruits are so excited about that performance last night as well, tweeting out, commit to Bill O'Brien. So this as far as the brand, great, but practically for the team, this is going to be huge.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think the people that were risky enough to take them 6-1 were also pretty happy as well from the money line. So
The easiest 6-1 they've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mac, to add to your point, I mean, we've talked about it all podcast, but yeah, just to perform like that in a standalone game on a Monday, on a holiday night, yeah, unbelievable. And of course, Tommy puts the cherry on top, talking about he's got class tomorrow. I'm sure BC and the ACC loves that, getting their given some of their academic scandals in the past. But yeah, last night, yeah, great for the BC brand. Great to see BC like in a positive highlight on SportsCenter this morning. I mean, it doesn't happen enough, but yeah, huge. Lot of eyes. Lot of eyes saw the monster, as the kids are saying, that Bill's growing. So,
or the napkin is saying.
Or the napkin is saying. Yeah, you got the napkin, Mac?
Oh gosh, where is it? I'll find it. Oh yeah, here we go, boys.
You better find it. Yeah.
From episode 1.
Better keep that thing on you.
1-0, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Undefeated.
That's gotta be your new pocket square. It's gotta be your pocket square. Make sure you carry it around everywhere.
Take it everywhere.
Freaking game day on Saturday. Yeah, I like it, guys.
Our sponsors are brought to you by Bigelow Tea.
He had to.
Well, we'll be right back. Listen to the sponsors. Our sponsors, sponsored by Bigelow Tea. Haas drinks it, so should you. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Hey, he did the countdown this time. Nice.
We counted up. For the record, we counted up.
Wait, Brett, did you mess
Didn't
that up again?
Didn't I do that shit last time?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Didn't I suck.
That's for
Yeah, a
you.
little bit.
That's for you.
Nice.
Stream. People watching on the stream. That's for you guys.
I'm just the worst.
Yeah.
God. Concerns going forward.
Just get into it, Brett. Let's move on from that.
Yeah.
Concerns.
That,
Yeah.
if,
You have any? You guys have? This is the first thing I listened. Do you guys have any concerns about facing a quarterback not named DJ Uyunglele? Not throwing the ducks he threw.
Wait,
Yeah.
concerns in general? Yeah. I mean, when we get to the music,
I mean, you saw all the drops, all the just the miscues, like facing like team like Mizzou like we won 2 weeks.
yeah,
like,
that's what I was going to say. Mizzou is going to be the thing that we'll see. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean,
but we're on Duquesne right now, though, bud.
Yeah,
Don't stress yourself out about that yet.
yeah,
We'll get into that next week.
I tweeted in the middle of that game when we were up 2 scores. I said I can't stop thinking about the trap game potential that Duquesne has to offer on Saturday.
Talk about it.
No, I was saying it's Haas mentioned it earlier. Potential letdown spot. I mean, they're not super great FCS team. I think. I mean, they just got crushed by Toledo 49-10. I think.
Okay.
No, but yeah, you got an even short. You're gonna have a short rest. You have an even shorter rest now with the delays. You're traveling back. Coming up, like I know Bill and Tommy trying to keep it even keel, but I mean, how could you not, as a player, be excited after that game? So I mean, you got Mizzou in the next week. It feels pretty natural to look ahead if you're a fan, and I'm sure if you're a player. But I think, I mean, it would be pretty typical, pretty BC, pretty stereotypical BC to give us a little more of an interesting game than we might like to see on Saturday.
I need Coach Haas real quick. Sorry, Mac. I need Coach Haas to give me
settle us down.
Tell me we're not looking ahead, right? We're in this. We're in the moment.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. But I'll also add this on, which is everything that they do this year is going to be the first time they do it within this program, right? Within this coaching leadership, within everything. So this is the first time post a game that they're going to prepare for another game, right? This is the first time after a win that they're going to be preparing for another game. And how do they reset their minds? How does the coaching staff reset the message in the locker room and in the film room? So I think that's going to tell us everything. I think Bill has already alluded to what the message is, but For me, it's Duquesne and Duquesne only. Max said it's a 3-day week here. I mean, this is insane in college football. You never see this.
Yeah.
So there is some adversity that they're battling this week, and this is their first week too that they've had under Bill O'Brien and his staff. So that's where my head is.
Yeah, they've never had to turn the page with Bill O'Brien.
It's a huge test. It's a huge test. I mean, and maybe more, just like you were saying, Haas, the short week. I mean, the quick turnaround, trying to get everyone in good health. I mean, not that anyone got injured, but this is a quick recovery time for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tommy said, we got classes tomorrow, so there's a lot going on this week. I'm not looking ahead, but I will say, I am with ESPN. I think there's a 99% chance we're going to win this game. Not saying I'm going to overlook that, but I would say, as far as Duquesne's concerned, I mean, we're going to win that game, but it's going to be a matter of how we're going to win that game, how we're going to look coming up after this huge upset victory, and if they're going to look sleepy or if they're going to look, like we just saw them against Florida State. That's my biggest thing that I'm looking forward to this game, and I think we all need, it's going to be a packed alumni. Pack alumni is the motto of what I want to say this entire week. It's going to be almost a sold-out crowd, if maybe it will be by the time we get there. So I'm hoping for a great show for these fans, and I think Bill O'Brien's goal is going to be that. It's going to be put on a great show, be dominant, and don't look like, hey, we're tired and hungover from this game, and we're not taking this seriously. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, the other thing, too, is, I mean, this team has been hyper fixated on this week 1 Florida State matchup since the schedule was probably released in when did they release the schedule? Last December?
Mm-hmm.
So they've known and they've been preparing for this game for months. You conquered, you slayed that dragon, you conquered the mountain, whatever you want to call it. Like, now how do you get up again? How do you keep going? How do you move on to the next? It's like, once you do that, is this kind of like the Super Bowl hangover, right? Like, you get to the mountaintop and now you're kind of like complacent, or are you still hungry to continue going, knowing that you do have a full season ahead of you? Not to jump ahead, you got Mizzou 2 weeks from now, so this is your tune-up game. This is the thing I like about these games. These are the stat games. These are the games where they can really pad their stats a little bit too, potentially.
Stats, and also, I would say stats will be fun and having a little fun on that. But I think the biggest thing is that we all alluded to throughout this podcast is there's stuff to work on. They're all still growing. And, back to the original question that Jack brought up of what's your concerns going forward, if there is any. And there are a few. I mean, there's a whole unit. It's just special teams, guys. Special teams wasn't that good last night. And that's a whole unit that I think needs to figure out, especially the punting unit, I would say. This was the concern also we talked about, before the season even started. Candati, I mean, we love him on Twitter and all, but he has been short on a lot of punts and not consistent, and that needs to be consistent. And Bill O'Brien, that's a huge thing that this whole coaching staff needs to work on to get that because special teams needs to be consistent. They need to be reliable. So there's a bunch of things, whether it's get Tommy more comfortable in the pocket. There's a bunch of things that are, I wouldn't say concerns, but things that they can take advantage of in this matchup against Duquesne to really work on.
Yeah, that's a great call, Mac. They're not perfect by any means. And all 3 phases of the game do matter. Don't get me started on that first punt last night where coverage was in the end zone. And you could have caught that ball at the 1 to 2 yard line. I almost lost it. I was like, what just happened?
Dino had a tough game.
He had a couple special teams mishaps, I think. He had that
penalty. The penalty was special teams.
There's a couple with that loss where it rolled into the end zone, which they could have made a play on, and they're all just looking at each other. There was a couple like that. Yeah.
So
he's like in the end zone
special teams practice this week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to see, especially against Duquesne, can't have a holy cross. Can't even have a main a couple years ago. The main game was a little too close for comfort. Need a Colgate. Needed just absolute domination, start to finish. I want it to be fun and uncompetitive. Can't have anything close to Holy Cross last year.
I'm down to have a Howard game where it was like, I think they ended the game short. I mean,
77-0. Yeah, this is a game where you go down your first 3 or 4 drives, you score a touchdown every time. And then second half at some point, some second stringers get an opportunity. That's what you need to do in this game. You need to go out there and do that.
Yep. Just do what Arkansas did and just score 10 touchdowns on 10 drives. Good night.
Because if it doesn't look like that, then we will have concerns, I think, in the next podcast. Because
if the score is like 21-7 in the, if it's like a 1 or 2 score game and it creeping into the third quarter, you get like you're probably gonna win, but you're like, oh, it doesn't really feel good.
Right.
It's like that's what you don't want. You want, especially that first packed alumni game for under the new head coach. You don't want.
I got people coming up to me. Yeah, I was just gonna say I got people coming up to me thinking we're playing Duquesne. Sorry to cut you off. I mean, I'm just so. Yeah. They don't even know who we're playing. They don't even know the name of the team we're playing properly. Like that tells me everything. Sorry, Jack.
You can't let Duquesne stay in this game for more than a quarter. So I think
I didn't even know they had a basketball or a football team. I thought they were just a basketball school.
Hey, they were a great 11th seed in the tournament last year, but I don't think they're known for their football.
They sure were. They probably would have beat us. Unfortunately, they're a good A10 team.
Yeah.
That's for another. That's believe in BC hoops talk though.
Yeah, check back in 3 months, and we'll talk about that.
I will say all those fears I agree with, but I'll say this, that now Bill O'Brien all summer camp was only looking at Halfley tape. He was looking at Halfley tape. Now he gets to look at his own tape. He has this whole Florida State game where he can go and be like, what the hell did I do wrong? What can we grow from there? And that's his thing. That's it. Like, this is why we brought him in. He's the expert at looking at the tape and adjusting and calling out his team when they're not performing up to his standard. So, I mean, I'm super excited about this week, even though it's short. I mean, we have this time for him to really get the team to bounce back and to really execute on a few of those things that they've messed up on this game. But again, I think that this can be really exciting based on what we just saw, where now Bill O'Brien gets to look at his own tape instead of, whatever Halfley was doing before.
Real quick before we segue, I got to say, all 3 of you have made just dynamite points at some point during this podcast. All 3 of you have said something where I'm like, God damn, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, Eagles Weekly.
This is...
Yeah. That's what we do, Brett.
On the weekly.
That's why you brought us in. That's why.
Yeah. And then I'm just sitting here talking like an asshole, giving the most general vanilla takes ever. So credit to you guys, man. I mean, I put the Avengers together. I mean, I'm like Nick Fury. I'm not a superhero. I just bring them together. That's why I create this.
We all love Nick Fury. We all love Nick Fury, Brett.
You need a Nick Fury. You need Nick Fury.
Sure do. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. We're up to 560 views, by the way, boys. 560 again.
That beats last time, right?
Yeah, because when we ended, and I put up a tweet, I was 588. So we are very close. We are very close.
Community again.
Community again, is just crushing it. That's I spoke about it earlier. It's just amazing.
I think we need to get Haas to lead this kind of ending part here, where, I mean, again, the motto, pack alumni, guys. We only have three days basically? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we're at game day. So I think Haas, I mean, let's pack alumni, let's get the fans excited. I mean, this is the Bill O'Brien era is finally coming to Chestnut Hill.
Out of 365 days of the year, 7 days is football played on that campus, right? I think that's and I was going to give a real nice miracle speech here, like Jack did for us last week, but I won't. I will hold off on that because he did so well.
No one's ever topped that, so don't worry about it.
There is no feeling like game day. on Chestnut Hill. And I think this Saturday, 3:30 kickoff time for your first home game is nice. People aren't coming in for a noontime game, right? Which is tough.
Mhm.
So there are no excuses this Saturday. No excuses not to be there, not to show up, not to show your BC pride, and give this new coaching staff and this team, this new look team, your 100% support. That's really what it is. Hopefully it's a beautiful day. I can't trust meteorologists outside of 24 hours prior to, so I haven't even looked at it yet. But I think I'm just geared up for a really, really fun day. 3:30 kickoff is perfect. Besides the 3-day week for the team, everything is set to be a wonderful home opener.
I was thinking, I can't wait to watch Bill O'Brien lead those guys down through the mod lot into the stadium. It's gonna be electric. There were some my senior year, so 2 years ago when they went 3-9. There were some tough tailgating scenes that year, and after
poor Jack, dude. Poor Jack.
But it's gonna feel like the beginning of a new era when tailgating outside of alumni this Saturday. So like Haas said, you get 7 days out of 365. Can't wait to have a great one on Saturday.
It's another great point.
I'm pumped. I'm just super pumped about this, guys. I mean, back in the stadium, I'm gonna get there so early. Brett, be there in the morning. I'm getting there super early.
What time you want to get there?
I'm gonna be there in the morning. I don't probably around.
Let's get brunch.
I'm gonna park. Yeah, Jack's around. Okay. Let's get breakfast. I mean, I want to be on campus, and just to take it.
He's like, let's get tents and just sleep outside.
Game day. We can make signs. This will be great.
Mac's already built an O'Brienville on the green. Very nice.
That would be great, guys. Oh my god. But yeah, again, PAC alumni is gonna be the gold out too, guys. We didn't talk about this. I mean,
is that a real thing? Is that actually a thing? Is that what they're doing?
I think they're trying, and it's gonna take a while, like we talked about in the previous.
What are they? Say that again. What are they doing?
The gold out.
Okay.
For the game, for at least the student section. I don't know, how much it's going to be, but obviously this is an old tradition, new tradition that's going to take a little bit of time to reinvigorate into the student body. But I mean, seeing that, getting the gold back into that stadium, tailgating just for the first time in this perfect weather that we have in New England right now. And then to be back up in the box with you, Brett, it'll be great to see all of our fellow colleagues as well. And,
absolutely.
I mean, I can't wait. I can't believe it's in like 4 days though. This is nuts.
There's something different in the air too. I think back to the past couple of years, and you go into the season with kind of like that blind optimism, and maybe this will be the year where they can kind of break back to a level that we're used to from when we were growing up. And unfortunately, year after year, it just never happened. There was something about last night that it almost like brought me back to a lot of those good old times, right? Like it really felt like I was just watching good football. And not to say that there hasn't been good football under, Hafley and Adazio, because there has. But there's a whole nother level to this. Bill O'Brien's talked about it before, where like BC can be good. BC can compete. BC can be a winner. I think we're starting to see that. You're starting to see kind of like the elements of it. And there was just there was a feeling that I was getting that I haven't gotten in many years, just really watching them. It was something different. So coming into this home opener, it's going to be really nice to really kind of see that start to come together and, get that home crowd back. And the first couple of games of the football season are dynamite because it's still, summer weather. It's still really warm. It's sunny. It's for the most part, it's pretty easy opponents. So it's kind of fun in that regards. But yeah, I'm with all you guys that just the vibes couldn't be higher. I think a loss to Florida State, I don't think it would have changed. I don't think it would have, dampened the vibes in any sort of way. I think people are pretty on board and people are pretty ready to welcome these guys back into alumni. But to come off a win like that, and the way that they won, the way that they performed, it's putting a lot of juice into the machine, and the monster is slowly building, and I think that it's all kind of, to quote Adazio, it's coming together, and it's gonna be beautiful.
Wait, was Adazio right? Because it's coming together, man. Holy crap,
bro. We were 2-5. AJ Dillon was coming into his own, and we went and beat Lamar Jackson on the road, and that was a great year, by the way. That was 2017. That was a fun year. Beat Florida State in the red bandana game. That was a fun time. But I digress. Are we doing any, like, do you have any, when you want to preview on, what do we call him? Duquesne. What's their mascot?
Somebody said that to me legitimately, by the way.
Did you correct them, or did you just like, yeah, that's cool?
Yes, I said it's Duquesne.
Was it someone in Boston College, or was it just like someone you know?
Yeah, so it's Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day this Saturday. So I have a lot of coworkers that are going to the game.
And someone called them.
Yeah, it came up. We're not going to out anybody, of course, but yeah.
No, we don't. I was just curious if it was like, maybe like your dad or something. Because my dad's like the typical Boston guy who just slaughters names, and just like goes with it,
Doesn't care to get it right.
Yeah. I know it
well. Do we know what their mascot is?
The
Dukes. That's so lame.
Duquesne
Dukes. Really?
Did you see that did you guys catch the game against Toledo at all that they played?
I didn't know.
No.
So
I was watching Michigan State.
You gotta be real sicko to watch that game.
Yeah.
For real.
As much as I love some action.
Looking at the stats though, and they pretty much dominated Duquesne, and I mean Toledo was pretty good last year, so but in that conference. But again, yeah, I haven't even looked at the roster. I think it's going to be.
Who knows?
It should be a dominant performance, but again, just like we covered, it that will be what we need to watch at if they improve all the things that need improving, and just keep improving and keep on this monster that is building.
Agreed.
It's brewing. It's certainly brewing. Yeah, I don't
alumni.
That's it. I think,
alumni, folks.
No true preview. I mean, we talked about potential trap game. Pack alumni. That's it. That's what I got. Final thoughts?
I think that's it. Just Pack alumni. Be there, be early.
Pack alumni, and again, shout out to this community that is watching live right now. Hundreds of them. But also, the last night on Twitter and Instagram, everywhere, like the energy and the vibes, like you were saying, Brett, were immaculate. I mean, everyone came out of the woodwork from all alumni from in sports media and NFL players, like I mentioned, Matty Ice and Flutie and
Justin Simmons,
AJ Dillon, Justin Simmons. The name goes on and on. Everyone. Supporting this team and rallying around this team, again, just shows you how big this community is and how close-knit they are and how much they want everyone in this community to succeed. And I think that's the biggest takeaway right there is that what Bill O'Brien's able to do is and what exactly he's doing with this team, raising them up, is exactly, this monster that we talk about is this team, but it's also this community, and it's building, and it's incredible to see.
I'm getting chills thinking about Saturday. I'm so excited. And I'm excited to see you boys there. And let's do this.
Let's do it.
I feel like I said my final thought a little early, talking about kind of the feels I got last night. But that's really just what it is, man. Like, this is It's a new program. It's a new mentality. The one thing I will say that to kind of add on to that and put a bow on it, I love that it's like a new vibe going around, but it's a lot of the same faces. So we're getting to see a lot of the guys that we know and love and that we followed in their BC careers, and we're kind of getting to see them in the transition to Bill O'Brien, and I think that it's a beautiful thing, and just how rewarding that is, and the students and everyone else, and just how amazing that is for all of them, really to be able to celebrate BC football. And a lot of students and recent alumni, like you as well, Jack, you haven't really gotten the exposure to what Boston College football can be. So like I'm very excited and hopeful that you'll be able to witness that, and not feel like your alumni status is a punchline when you're walking down the street. Because it is a badass thing when you can rock your BC polo and kind of flex a little bit, and not just be like, oh god, yeah, like I'm such a sicko and a sucker for shitty fandom. But
hey, I've worn this polo after some pretty bad hoops losses, but it feels damn good to wear it after a Florida State win. So yeah, unbelievable vibes right now. So hopefully they carry into the weekend, they carry even further into the coming weeks. So I can't wait to see you guys out there.
Yeah, we'll keep the ball rolling. 640 people right now. Like I said last time, after the show ended, and I got it up, and then I uploaded it, and then I put out like a thank you tweet. It was at 588, so that was like well after we had ended. So we surpassed it. To be honest, I expected a drop. You always kind of figure your first thing. It was so random that we just all of a sudden popped up live last week. So I figured it would just be people kind of seeing what the hell that was. But the fact that we're able to do this again and surpass that thank you to everyone who's been listening in,
and keep coming back. We'll be here Sunday.
Yeah, and Brett,
sure will
let the people know we'll be here pretty much after every game, like the day after following, and then also this week. I'm going to practice tomorrow, so I'll try to keep you guys covered, and so Eagles Daily and BC football fans will try to report on there as well. So
absolutely,
and then me and Brett will be in the box Saturday, and we're just super excited to see everyone. And go Eagles! That's all I got.
Yeah, we'll plan on recording. Yeah, we'll plan on recording Sunday, not post game, because Jack might eat a couple too many hamburgers.
Hamburgers.
No, he doesn't drink alcoholic beverages.
They don't let you eat hamburgers in the press box.
Yeah, I love hamburgers.
So I'm staying in the stands.
Yes, what section? UK.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, for the people. So so Coach Blackman, if you want to say a couple words to
he said he'll see me out there. So
he did. That was the best part. Your response was perfect. He didn't tag you, did he? He just wrote Jack.
No. Well, I got the notification.
I know, but the best part is he didn't tag you in it. Like he put the
that makes it way better.
The Liam Neeson thing, and then just wrote Jack with a couple dots.
It was way more ominous that way. A little more I like this guy, but I don't. He seems a little dangerous. We'll see, but I'll Section K. I'm sure he'll be busy on the sideline, but Will, if you're listening, an hour and 24 minutes into this, I'd love to see you in Section K.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Jack will he'll apologize. I know you will. You'll You'll be accountable. I won't say apologize because you don't apologize.
I hold myself accountable.
You have nothing to apologize for. But I know you're a stand-up guy. I know you'll hold yourself accountable.
Of course.
With an ex-NFL player who wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's end this thing.
Episode 5 in the books. We got Duquesne on Saturday, 3:30 kick. That's actually not bad. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all the team got. Appreciate everyone for listening, and go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
To lay low, hiding in the shadows. So don't give me dark days, I already had those. I'm just trying to figure out how to be myself right now. I don't wanna lay low, hiding in the shadows. So I wake up, I get out of bed, stay up, stay out of my head, it's dangerous. And I don't wanna lose my mind.